So Daisy says that I'm a long-time Muslim, and this nonsense about how we need to learn the Arabic language is problematic, and it's pushed by Wahhabi bigots. And the Qur'an, if it's not understandable in any language, then it fails in its mission. And this to me is very clear. But luckily that's not the case, because there's innumerable translations, and some of them are very good. So that's what she's saying. So in this video, inshallah, I want to explain to you the underlying idea here, okay, where she's coming from, and why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to reveal the Qur'an in Arabic as opposed to revealing the Qur'an in multiple languages. And this is not problematic because of translations. So translations allow the meaning of the verses to be communicated to all of mankind. We can have 150 translations in the English language alone, and this is not problematic. The reason it's not problematic is because the original Arabic is preserved. So at a time when there's a disagreement between translations, you have something to refer to. And the Arabic language pins down the meaning, and anything that violates the rules of grammar and morphology and rhetoric and the vocabulary, the semantic ranges of the roots that are meticulously preserved. Because language, you can't fabricate language. Okay, like you have a multi-continent civilization that are speaking in a particular way, and they know what the words mean. So somebody can't come 1400 years later and say this word has been misunderstood and this is the real meaning, because that's conceptually impossible for that to be true. So if there's 150 translations in the English language alone, how then would you know which translation is faithful to the original versus which one is twisting the meaning? The answer is that unless you're at an intermediate level of Arabic and you understand how the language works and you understand the meanings that come from the vowels and the patterns, and you have some vocabulary, the answer is you won't know. All you can do is rely on endorsement from scholars or from institutions like Al-Azhar, and you use your common sense and you match what you're seeing within the verses to what you know to be true about Islam, and you're sort of stuck. Luckily, the ones that are endorsed by the major institutions like Al-Azhar or by scholars that you trust are generally fine. They're not going to lead you to a new religion. The basic message of the Quran, you'll be able to get them just fine from the translation. What you will miss is the detailed arguments that are embedded within the Quran. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the beginning of Surah Hud, that this is a book, the verses of which have been strengthened through rational argument, and yet is incredibly clear. So the Quran makes arguments and proves the tenets of faith, but it does it without syllogism. So these arguments, they need to be unpacked, and the grammar plays a role. So unless the translator that you're accessing and you're trying to benefit from the translation, unless they've spent time with the books of the scholars like Al-Baydawi, the commentaries of Al-Baydawi and the Ruhul Ma'ani, and they've assessed the possibilities and they've incorporated that into the translation meticulously and very carefully, you'll be settling for a surface level translation. Okay, that's the truth. So I have a couple of videos on this channel where I show examples of verses, and the way the translation is presented can turn a powerful argument into something which is religious dogmatism. And if you want to learn more about that, you can watch this video here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.